afternoon. It's so good to be with you all, and thank you for being here. And Tim, thank you for your friendship and all that you do, and all of you. The work that we're all doing together is such an important work to stand for innocence, to stand for children, to stand for people, to stand for life. And so this is something that I always find very easy to fight for. And I know we've had several opportunities to visit and to, of course, work together to try to advocate for respect and love and kindness and civil dialogue, and of course, ultimately for life. And Tim, thank you again. It's great to see you. We have had the chance to be together in the Middle East and here at home, fighting for the truth and to fight for those that aren't able to be in Washington, D.C. or to be in the capitals of the nations that they live in, advocating for themselves. And that's why this is such a great responsibility, that we get to stand in the gap for people that don't have the opportunity to stand in the halls of power and the halls of leaders. This is a responsibility that we all take very, very seriously. So I just want to say, thank you first of all for the invitation to speak to you all. It's always an honor and a pleasure to host you. The more people that we have together in certain places, especially in Washington, D.C., to stand for the Druze community, to stand for the minority communities in the Middle East, and particularly in Syria. People ask me, what does a Northeast Indiana boy have any interest about Syria? And I tell you, it's not hard. I said, well, because if you grew up in Sunday school like I did, and you heard about all the stories of Damascus and where Christianity flourished, and of course the stories from Jerusalem and Bethlehem, it's easy because I'm more familiar with that particular area than I am Switzerland, where my family came from. So I need to learn a little bit more about Switzerland too. But this is again a place where we see people killing other people, and I think that's what to me it comes down to a very basic principle. It's like we should respect life. We should respect one another as human beings. We should say, look, we may have disagreements, and they may go back a long ways, but can we find a way to live together in peace and harmony and build? I mean, you look at the United States of America, which I think is the greatest country on earth, and it's not because of some monarchy. It's not because of an emperor that has built this country. I always think about the story. I was told this. I don't know if it's legend or if it's an actual story, but whenever you go to the Library of Congress, it's such a beautiful building inside. And I was told that President Bill Clinton and Boris Yeltsin from Russia were walking together, and they were walking inside, and they were both kind of looking down at the floor, shuffling along, and all of a sudden they stop, and Boris Yeltsin looks up and he looks around at the building, and he said, "This is a beautiful building." He said, "How did this building happen?" And President Clinton told him that the people of America built the Library of Congress. And Mr. Yeltsin said, well, in most other countries around the world, an emperor would build this, a dictator would build this type of a building. But here in America, it's the people that we together build an amazing capital city. Of course, you look at the great cities across America, whether even in farmland, country where I come from, to see new homes being built and to see new schools being built or a new hospital, and that's because the people work together. Are we in complete agreement all the time? Absolutely not. But you know what? We know that the best thing for all of us is to love and respect one another, and that's what I hope that we can continue to do in the Middle East, and in particular in Syria, and especially when it comes to the Druze community, who are just an incredible group of people. I know some of you all may know Congressman Abe Hamadeh, who is a Druze background, and he and I are very good friends. And I was actually with him out in Arizona this past week, and just appreciate his experience and his insight to what is happening there in Syria. But as we all know, the Druze are not extremists. They're a peaceful people. And that's one of the important things that we all can agree on. And, you know, the United States has the most powerful military in the world. But we have the most powerful military in the world because we want to bring peace to the world. And we know that when the weapons of war are in the wrong hands, in the hands of bad people, they will use them against the good people. And that's why it's important for us to have the ability to defend ourselves from those who would want to rule over people. I always tell people, I'm like, I don't understand the dictators because I have enough things going on in my life. I don't want to take care of all these other people as well. I just got enough, taking care of myself. And but this is a great blessing that we have in America, that we can, as individuals, build for our families and build for the next generation in our communities and really have an impact. And when we're building, we can all have a sense of accomplishment. And that's what is so important as we continue to try to protect the Druze community, to protect the Alawite, and of course the Kurdish communities, and the Christians, and all the other minority communities in Syria. And look, as I shared yesterday in committee, we had a hearing related to what's going on in Syria. I've met President al-Shara several times, and I want to see him successful in the sense that all people have the opportunity to build their communities, to live and worship as they choose. That's what's really critical. Religious freedom is we're so used to it, I guess, in America, that we sometimes don't realize how important that fundamental right is that we can worship how we choose as long as we respect each other. And we can have a dialogue, and that's okay. But when you take matters into your own hands and you're going to force it on someone else, as a Christian, I always tell Christians, don't go around beating people over the head with the Bible. That is not going to win them over. We need to respect one another, and we need to also understand one another, because the history that the Druze community has is incredible. As I learn more about the history dating all the way back to Jethro, it's just phenomenal. And it's oftentimes we see things through our own perspective. But then when you listen and are willing to have a conversation with another person and hear from their perspective, and they come at it from a different angle, all of a sudden you learn something. And you're like, that's really fascinating. I never thought of it that way. And so I think that's why we have to just continue to fight for the Druze community, and of course for the other minority communities. We need, the Druze have been consistent in rejecting ISIS and fighting against ISIS and fighting against Al-Qaeda, fighting against extremism. They've protected the Christians, which I want to say thank you. As a Christian, I want to say thank you to you all, because I know how, a lot of Christians living throughout different parts of the Middle East are often not as together in one particular area to be able to defend themselves. And so your friendship and relationship with Christians is I truly want to say thank you. I just had a friend here yesterday who was sitting through the hearing, and his father is a pastor in Syria, and he was just telling me some of the stories that they have dealt with. And, but he just continues to be bold and just standing for truth. And more than anything, that's what we need to do. We need to resist sectarian violence and the oppression despite enormous pressures. We know that particular part of the world, especially with Turkey in the north, is trying to disrupt any sort of stability in Syria right now. Syria has so much potential. The diversity there is such a beautiful thing. Knowing the history there is just remarkable. Our children need to learn about the history in Israel and in Syria and other parts of the Middle East. The relationship that the Syrian Druze and the Israeli Druze have is just incredible. And it's such again, shows how important, and it comes back down to a family. Family is such an important institution that God's created that we need to protect, and we need to show others, like, families stick together, because if families stick together and then build relationships throughout the community, then the communities become stronger and stronger. The family is it's a foundation of a community. Also wanted to say, thank you for just being a friend with Israel and also with America, and Western values where we pursue peace. More than anything, it's important that at the end of the day, we pursue peace with our neighbors. Also, I want to say that there's efforts for humanitarian aid into the Soweta region, into southeast Syria. That's a critical piece to all of this, and helping that particular region get back on its feet. We've heard so many different stories about what's happened there, but we just simply need to get on the same page and realize it's time to rebuild Syria for peace and prosperity's sake, and for the people of Syria. The people of Syria have been through so much, and it's just remarkable how strong the Druze community continues to be an example to all of us. President Trump, I tell you, is just one of the strongest leaders. This is an opportunity. We have a 4-year opportunity at least, hopefully it's longer than that, to be sure that those leaders who want to control people, who want extreme religious practices, to force people into to believing things that they don't want to, that it's either life or death if they choose one way or the other. We have an opportunity with President Trump to make sure that we find a path to peace, better peace, there in the Middle East. Also, I want to just say for the Druze here in America, thanks for being a voice for those in the Middle East, because oftentimes, we get focused on work, we get focused on making sure the kids have a ride to school, but just that constant reminder that there are people in other parts of the world. We're so blessed in America. We truly are the most blessed nation on earth, but those reminders that there are people in other parts of the world that don't have the same freedoms that we do on a daily basis it's good for all of us. I always encourage young people, especially in the high school, college years, that the best thing you can do is not to build friendships and build relationships, but to travel around the world to other parts of the world to see that we as Americans are truly blessed here. But with that blessing, we have a responsibility to help those who are being oppressed by evil. And this is it's a fight between good and evil, and we need to be sure that we stand strong. So I know that you all do that. Just by being here shows that you're committed to that effort. I want to say thank you for the work that Tim and the organization is doing, because even if we have to find our way in to help in danger, we need to be willing to do that. I know that there are organizations that are on the ground that are trying to help people just survive and make it from day to day, and we want to support that in every way we can. I want to thank President Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, of course Speaker Mike Johnson. We have some tremendous leadership right now here in America and here in Congress that are supportive of the Druze community and want to stand with you all in pursuing peace and prosperity and much better days ahead. So thank you again for having me. God bless you all.